So I hope that within a year or so, Focalpay will be actually an AI company delivering payment and a retail solution rather than a retail company having AI functionality.
Right.
So that's why I call it that this is actually the floor. What you're building on top of it is the one that it is my hope and my goals.
Right, Morteza, thank you so much for taking up to speak to us today.
Thank you.
Just before we start, for those who haven't had the opportunity to meet you, let us know who you are and what you do.
Yeah. My name is Morteza Kalhour. I started my career at Nokia as a chief architect for a division that worked with the multimedia system and satellite communications back in during 90s. And then I had also continued my career in mobile system at Sony Ericsson and created handsets and different type of mobile systems. Later down, I went over to medical devices and built critical devices for medical use, for example, ventilator and anesthesia machines. Back in 2012, I moved to the Fintech environment or industry. I started working for SEB, one of the major banks in Sweden, and start working with both core banking system and multi-channel banking and so on. And later down, I started at Swish and became the CTO of the Swish and created the system that Swish has today, capable of handling many transaction seconds as a real-time system, very popular in Sweden. About 2 years ago, I got the idea about Focalpay, and then I started the company together with a couple of friends here as co-founders, and we are since then working with Focalpay.
All right, great. Now, I understand then you're in charge of all the technology aspects of Focalpay. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Then help me understand, how is the company using exponential technologies to keep ahead of the competition and to innovate on the payment space, which is increasingly more and more competitive?
Absolutely. This is actually an area which is very warm in my heart, actually. The thing is that if you look back about how the computer technology has evolved since 1960s, when it actually started with the first transistors, we see a very clear trend and clear pattern in the evolvement of the technology, which is exponential. However, we humans are linear by our nature, and we are very hard time to understand the exponential development. And this is one of the main reasons I would say that many even successful companies, like we have a very good example like Kodak and those kind of companies, went down very early without even the kind of realizing why they are going down, because they couldn't kind of cope with this kind of exponential trend of the market. And it's not everybody talks about Kodak and Fawcett, those kind of companies, but this is actually happening with very successful companies like Nokia, Ericsson, who had a big market share when it comes to the mobile phone, and they were very, very successful even in technology. But even though those kind of company lost it, and this is actually happening to many companies as we speak today. So this exponential mindset must be always with a company if a company is to survive for a long time. And this is something that we have tried to do it. Or at least I have tried to do it in wherever I work or whatever company I work with, to think exponentially and have this discipline to actually compete always with myself, not with anybody out there, because my competitors actually think linearly, that I count them. So thereby actually competing with my competitors is nothing that I am happy with. I always try to compete with myself. And this is something that we have tried to do. I've tried to do in all the companies I was, but especially in Focalpay, which I'm kind of driving, especially the technology part. This is part of our DNA, actually. So all my team members have it in mind, and we always try to do better and better every day, even though we do not have any competitor really that we are competing with.
Okay, now you've got experience in Swish and in SEB. You've been in the payment space for a while. How is Focalpay's solution superior to other payment enablers in the market?
Actually, Focalpay, even though the name emphasizes with the payment, is not only about the payment. The idea of Focalpay was kind of born in my head when I was working at Swish, and I realized that almost all the Swedes who can have Swish already have Swish. Everybody loves Swish. It's a great payment method. You have it in the phone. Youths love it, and once we introduce, for example, Swish in an e-commerce flow, then you have a high conversion rate of the people who pay with Swish. But then I realized, why can't we pay with Swish in point of sale? And that the whole thing starts. I wanted to actually kind of move Swish to point of sale, but we did some courageous kind of try with several companies, several major companies, but all of them was a kind of a failed trial, if I would put it that way. It became user-unfriendly, doesn't work. There are a lot of hassles. And then I started looking at the bigger picture, not only payments. What is it that makes it that the payment, even such a great payment method as Swish is not possible to use at the point of sale? Then I opened my mind around the architecture, and that's the kind of my view always. I mean, I can both dive down on details, but also look at the helicopter view of the system. And then I realized that one of the biggest problems with retail in general is the lack of existing architecture. There is no architecture, basically. There are well thought of architecture in retail. It's a lot of components that over time has been connected to each other. And of course, they work together, but they are coming from different vendors. If you go from one company to the neighbor company, they have completely different components, completely different way of working, and thereby it's a kind of, from my point of view, it's not a well-thought architecture at all, even in major companies, if I put it that way, that have huge IT departments. There is, I wouldn't say that according to my standard, there is no architecture. It's a lot of components that are integrated with each other.
Right.
And this is where the idea with Focalpay was born. Instead of kind of talking about the payment itself, I tried to create an ecosystem for a retailer so that they can use it as an integration platform built with the latest technology from the ground, and then integrate whatever they want into this architecture, including payment. Payment was one of the things into this architecture, but there are actually a lot of other things that for example, in a convenience store or a grocery store, you have a lot of different devices that actually integrates with this system, which needs to be functioning well. But right now, every store owner or every chain owner actually create their own version of it. So there is absolutely no existing architecture. But Focalpay, from my point of view, is the first company that tried to introduce a homogeneous architecture for a retailer to use while providing the flexibility for them. And payment part of it, we talk about the payment, which was your original question, is a very important corner of it. And by a kind of patent pending flow that we have defined, we have created for Focalpay, we can provide almost any kind of payment in a homogeneous way in retail or online, or kind of in physical store or online, without actually doing any, the merchants needing to do any integration or anything like that. We have created a common architecture for the retailer to connect to, and then on the backside, we connect all the payments that they want to that. And that's why I usually say that with Focalpay, you are even forward compatible. Many companies will struggle to say you're backward compatible. But with Focalpay, you're not only backward compatible, you're even forward compatible. Meaning that, let's say tomorrow, a new payment methodology come to the market. it's a hassle to put it into all the cashier system, all the kind of all the accounting system, everything. But with Focalpay, it will be only click on a button, and they will have it. And that's the big distinction compared to between Focalpay and any other actor in the market.
All right, that's very interesting, Morteza. So, if I understand this correctly, the Focalpay has an architecture that is operates as a platform. Is it a plug and play type of platform where you can bring inventory management, the floor space management, as well as payment solutions, or how does that platform enable retailers to modularly add systems onto their backend?
Exactly, that's a very, very good question. It is Focalpay as such it try to meet the customers where they are. We address customers from the level of the enterprise customer, having a chain kind of a structure in multiple countries, all the way to the small businesses like a pizzeria and so on. And in order to do this, we must meet the customer need. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Focalpay as a base is an integration platform, meaning that it is built to integrate things to that.
Right.
So, and we realize, of course, that if we are kind of meeting or kind of facing an enterprise customer, they have a huge ERP system, for example, or already existing systems that they use, and it is widely spread in the organization. So we have to adapt to that. And as we have for those customers that we have did, we easily can integrate our platform into the existing one, which is actually, by the way, is one of the things that it doesn't exist in the market, that we can very easily create a backup solution for these enterprise customers without having a kind of the big cost of having two parallel solutions as it otherwise they should do, because it's so easy to integrate it, and thereby it doesn't cost so much for them to use it. But for a smaller merchants who doesn't have it, then Focalpay provide a version of those functionality for them. For example, inventory management, loyalty, receipt management, everything they need. It is already in the platform, but major ones who have their own kind of system, peripheral system, they can actually integrate their own into the platform.
Okay, so then let me get to the next part of the question, because I understand why smaller retailers would opt for a solution that provides everything for them, and especially if you have all the additional modules that work perfectly and are beautifully integrated with the platform. But if I'm a large-scale retailer, why would a retailer choose? This is the build versus buy question, right? Why would they choose to go for a retail as a service solution as opposed to building their own?
Yeah, I should be very honest with you that my intention was not really targeting major retailers, the enterprise customer, because I thought that they have invested billions in their IT system. It would be very, very hard to convince a major retailer to shift over to a completely different platform, meaning that they have to kind of remove a lot of different system, which has cost them a lot of money and so on. But ironically, or actually to our very nice surprise, is that currently our main customers are the major retailer or kind of enterprise one, because the bigger these IT systems it is, they have, number one, it becomes extremely costly to drive it. Number two is that, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, as there isn't any architecture, once these integrations are done between different systems provided by different vendors during different time periods, this landscape gets cemented and impossible to change. So the innovation part dies completely, especially for the bigger ones. Thereby, actually, it is the bigger ones who are in more need of Focalpay. And what Focalpay offers is that, as I mentioned also about the integration platform, we offer a very easy to hook into the existing system that they want to keep, which is central for their existing business, but offer all the functionality they need for, let's say, the back office solution, the cashier solution, digital receipt, multi-payment solution, and everything they need. So, so the interesting thing was that our biggest kind of interest today comes from the major retailer, because the ones having the biggest problem realize that they are much more in need for Focalpay as a platform than compared to the smaller ones.
Okay, very interesting. Now, I'd love to understand how or what are the main challenges of bringing a product to market as a first mover? Because I understand that this is quite an innovative solution for the retail space. What have been the main challenges that you've had in introducing something that perhaps clients didn't know they need to begin?
If you have a technology that doesn't exist, usually your customer wouldn't even know if they need it or not, or what they should do with it. Take an example of something that I did in my career, and it was those questions I was facing with. It was the integration of the first GPS in a mobile phone. If you think about it, if you go back 20 years, 25 years, if you ask somebody that, okay, would you like to have a GPS in your phone? And probably they would say, what should I do with the GPS in my phone? I mean, I cannot even think about to have a GPS in your phone. Or for that matter, the camera, for that matter. If you go back 20 years and say that in about 20 years, everybody will have a camera in their phone and they go around, take a picture, I mean, maybe 1,000 pictures a day, it will be the kind of almost impossible to even understand this. But we as engineer in a telecom area was not only technical engineer, we even try to anticipate what people would like to have and try to even, in a sense, create a market for that. So we were both engineers and some sort of product marketing people at the same time. And Focalpay is today something like that. I know that it is, in some cases, very revolutionary, in some cases maybe even hard to anticipate, but we have tried to put ourselves in the shoes of the customers and the retailers and try to create a platform that we believe they need, but they maybe in many cases they haven't really realized that they need it. And we try to be in the forefront, and once the customers are getting there and they realize that the problem is there, we would be there with the product which is ready for use, compared to at that time starting thinking about how I should build a product. So that is our hope and ambition, that to be in the forefront and try to understand where our customer will be in a year in the future, and try to build it now for them.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's really exciting to hear. Now, tell me a little bit, what exciting developments have you got in the development portfolio?
When we started with this, even in the company, the goal of my colleagues has been to create the best retail platform ever. And that is what we hope that we have kind of done it, at least as a first version. It's going to have a lot improvements to be done in many areas. So we have a lot of potential to kind of even make it better than it is today. For many people, that probably would be the roof, the goal to reach. But for me, actually, this is the floor. I mean, I needed this kind of functionality that Focalpay has in order to address the need of my customer, because they have a certain need on the ground right now. So these are the functionalities that I needed to have, not that I really like it to have, but I needed to have to give them something that they can live with it right now and get their companies running and growing right now. But what I am excited mostly about is that introduction of AI functionality in this domain, which we just started. We just released the first version of it. Actually, this morning, the release was done about the first AI functionality that we do, which in the first version decreases a lot of headaches and work for the retailers to manage the pricing of the and the campaign management of the products. But the step 2 and the step 3 of this journey is the one that makes me extremely excited. We have a goal that make the whole price management in a store AI based, so that the retailers just only define what kind of margin they would like to have, and the AI based on the consumer behavior, based on the position of the store, based on the kind of the unique situation of that store in that specific area or in that specific part of the world or the country, will optimize the pricing so that it would be more beneficial and better margin for the customer or retailer, while not increasing the price to the end consumers. Of course, that kind of sounds maybe like a paradox in a sense, but I know that this is possible, and exactly like any other area when AI did this kind of automations, when it surprised even the builders of the system, I'm very sure this is something that we'll be able to do. And my hope is that by, let's say, mid next year, we will have this step number 2, and then a step number 3, which comes hopefully at the end of next year, is that starting to optimizing the flow of the product through the whole supply chain, all the way to the store, so that we can reduce the waste. And that is from the sustainability point of view, this is something which is very warm in my heart, that if we can reach that point so that we can decrease, let's say, the waste with 10%, 20%, it would be huge. So by the next year, and that is these 2 milestones that I have in front of me, which I'm very excited. So I hope that within a year or so, Focalpay will be actually an AI company delivering payment and a retail solution rather than a retail company having AI functionality.
Right.
So that's why I call it that this is actually the floor. What you're building on top of it is the one that it is my hope and my goals.
Very impressive ambition. Let's just close. You've talked about the use of AI and then the vision that you want to become an AI company. What about open banking and open finance? How are those technologies impacting the way in which you're developing your solution?
Yeah, exactly. Very, very good question also. The thing is that open banking, already we have it, and I think we are in a sense first in the world to do it in a kind of consumer-friendly way, to offer pay by bank at point of sale. Because once you cannot provide, let's say, a very user-friendly payment through Swish, which is an extremely good payment solution, how can you do it through pay by bank? But the funny thing and the good thing with Focalpay was that this was not really on our agenda to do when we started our payment service or this payment gateway solution that we have in Focalpay. But once it came up and became active, we could just build a component for kind of account to account. And it actually works exactly the same way that any other payment method that we have. And that's the whole idea with Focalpay. It works the same way for the customer, and it is extremely flexible. So use of open banking already is there. And we are excited, of course, once this PSD2 kind of APIs became more mature and better, we can even offer better solutions with that. But when it comes to the other kind of data sources, or let's say open finance part of it, and other open data around, I hope that this AI kind of capabilities that we can, in comparison with others which cannot have, we can have this functionality centrally in our system. The Focalpay architecture is not a fragmented architecture. It's a kind of a very well organized architecture, and thereby we can build functionalities in a completely different way that others can do. And with this kind of usage of these multiple data sources, try to create new products which cannot be maybe not even thought about today. Again, for example, take one example that you can maybe think of. One retailer positioned close to a sport arena without knowing that, for example, tomorrow will be a kind of a game between Arsenal and Liverpool, for example. How many people will come to that stadium? You have no idea. I'm selling sausages and hamburger.
No.
How would I be able to kind of calculate how many sausages should I buy, how many bread should I buy, based on how many people will come? But once we have this AI platform in the system, we can suck in all this open information from the media or other like that, and merge it together as a complete package for this retailer, and tell the retailer, you know what, you need 2,000 sausages for tomorrow, because based on the previous kind of patterns that you've seen, I mean, having 30,000 people in this arena most probably will kind of result in such a high increase of your sale when it comes to this kind of things. Right. And this, of course, needs a lot of data. We are going to very gradually kind of provide this functionality for the merchant, and initially, of course, merchant must validate it by themselves. But aggregating these data sources, which is impossible for a human to do, is the thing that this AI engine will do. And then you will be able to plan your both purchases and sale in a completely different way.
Wow, Morteza, well, that's really fascinating. There's clearly so much happening at the intersection of fintech and retail. And I'm very grateful that you spent some time with us and enlightening us of all the things that we can look forward to.
I'm also very grateful that you take time to be with us, and I'm happy that you have you with us here at Focalpay.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.